My highest month before this was January. UGC brought in like 6,000 for me because I had like a couple dating ads like pop off, and then I had like 1,000 from my Twitch and Patreon that added on top of the 6K. So that was a 7K month for me, which was like insane.
Well, thanks for coming on. Do you want to give us like some background, name, age, location? Like, how did you get to right here, talking to a stranger on the internet about finance?
Well, I saw that everyone was starting to stream kind of in like 2020 when everyone had like taking breaks from work and school, obviously for the lockdown. So during around that time, I kind of got into streaming and stuff. And then I made basically gaming content and like makeup content and stuff. And then as the years went on and progressed, I realized like a lot of my mutuals that were in the streaming industry started to open up a little more about finance, business, like stuff on the side. And I found that stuff like really fascinating my whole life as well because my family was super into finance and would try to help me out and teach me stuff here and there. So I kind of went on my own journey to find stuff out online and find resources, and that kind of ended me up here. I'm 20, I'm in college right now, my third year, Vietnamese American, and I live in LA.
Awesome. What are some goals that you have? Short term and long term? Anything major?
I want to try to graduate college like debt free. So I want to try to earn as much as I can during this last year or two of community that I'm in. So by the time I get to like college, I want to be able to pay that all off, mostly myself, and not have to take out any like huge loans if possible, or work off scholarships or anything. Besides that, I want to like be able to help my family, even if I'm partially with like helping them get a property within the next like 3 years. I want to be able to help them at least put that down payment down. And let me think what else. I want to travel a bit more, like in college, maybe study abroad.
And are you at a university, community college? What does that look like?
I'm at a community college right
Community
now.
college? That's the way to go. People sleep on that all the time.
No, yeah, everything's been paid for. Like the grants are amazing, so no complaints.
Yeah. Is your main job content creation?
Yes.
Have you ever worked before that? Have you had any kind of part-time job?
No, for me, because I've been disabled since basically I aged into a disability at 10, I was never able to really hold down a traditional job. I worked at a pho restaurant for a couple days, like interning or like in training for a couple days with my mom because she was managing it back in high school. And then like the physical toll on me was a lot, and I realized that content creation was picking up for me at that time. So I kind of leaned into that, and I ended up finding work like online.
Are you comfortable talking about this disability?
Yeah, I'm 100% comfortable. Like a lot of my content is kind of centered around it now because I'm more comfortable. Basically, when I was 10, I was at like a birthday party for my sister, my baby sister at the time, and like I had this headache. So I basically had like a blood clot and no one knew what was happening. They just told me I was dehydrated to sleep it off. But then I woke up the next day and I was like 10 years old at this time, and I basically was rushed to the hospital because the symptoms and everything and the after effects had set in. So after that, I had to be pulled out of school for like a month and like go to therapy and stuff. And that was kind of just, I had to learn how to adjust my life around that. And yeah, for me, working a traditional job was kind of out of the picture after that, or even thinking about that kind of stuff. So
wow, 10 years old?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so tough. But you recovered, seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say like 80% recovered. Like super fine motor movements in my fingers on my left side are not all the way there. So I kind of have to adapt or rebind some keybinds when I game or like play super low elo. But for me, like in my daily life, I'm very well adjusted now. I'm like pretty good.
That's good to hear. And it's cool that you found content creation.
For sure.
How many followers do you have across all platforms?
610K across all platforms. So Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And
can you talk about the different revenue streams that you have as a content creator?
Yes, I just drafted a tweet last night breaking down my income for this month, so I'll actually pull that up. Well, this month was a little bit abnormal because usually I don't get this much in like donations and stuff, but because I was more active on Twitch, it kind of had an uptick. But for Twitch, is one. Usually it's not this much, but again, an abnormal month. So I have Twitch, so basically live streaming, and then I do this UGC program on TikTok where you make ads for like mobile game companies. It's like a relatively new platform or like program they have. You basically just like sign up and put your name in to do mobile game ads. So there's like block puzzle games, and you just basically record a little video and you edit it and do all the captions and send it to the company. And depending on how they post it and run it for 3 months, depending on how well that ad does, they pay you out. So I have had videos that are like a 15-30 second ad do as well as like 2,000 to 3,000 each, and as little as like 30 cents. It really depends on like how well that ad does. And then I have like ePal, which is like a side thing I started for fun and for content purposes, which is like a platform where it's like rent a friend. They pay you to like hang out, game with them, watch movies with them. And then I have donations, so I take donations on like PayPal or whatever through Twitch as well. And then the creativity program on TikTok, which is like a program where videos over a minute long will pay you depending on how many views you get, but usually you have to be bringing in 5 to 10 million a month to see like a couple thousand a month, which is not the norm for most people. And then I have my Patreon where I post like selfies, like behind the scenes stuff, like vlogs, whatever I do not post on my main socials. And then brand deals sometimes, like occasionally I will get those as well. So company will reach out and then pay me for promoting them. And then Instagram subscriptions. So people that also subscribe, it's kind of like Patreon, but on Instagram. It's like a little side tab that they can subscribe to for photos and stuff. And those are like my main income sources.
So we got Twitch, UGC, TikTok creativity program, Patreon, brand deals, and Instagram subscriptions.
Right.
How, on average, how do those weigh? Like, what is the main source of your income?
Usually the TikTok UGC, usually that's like 2 to 3K a month.
Really?
And the rest are just like padding. Like Patreon is 3 to 500. Instagram subs is like next to nothing. It's like $20 to $40 because I'm not on it. Very often ePal is like $300. So like it's like little side hustles all added up for me. I'm still trying to find my like, you know, my vision and my voice in my content to make something that's, you know, more continuously stable. But that's what it's been like the past like 6 months or so.
You have so many different streams. I'm surprised. I thought usually for most creators it's brand deals that gets us the most. But for you, it's this UGC program. In terms of income, like what does that look like monthly? I know it varies for content creators. It's like a complete roller coaster. Is there an average you've seen?
I think like 3 to 4K a month usually for me within the last year. That's been pretty around where it is. With a high of like 6, 7K. Like this month, I think I made like 7 to 11,000 somewhere between there, which is like absurd month. But I had a lot of donators come in recently because I've been posting a lot more about my streams and stuff. But an average month is like 3 to 4K for me.
Okay. What has been your highest month?
I think this month. My highest month before this was January. UGC brought in like 6,000 for me because I had like a couple dating ads like pop off. And then I had like 1,000 from my Twitch and Patreon that added on top of the 6K. So that was a 7K month for me, which was like insane. And then this month, I think I have 7,300 or something that hit my bank account. And there's 4K still processing from donations alone. Ooh. So that's not normal though, but it's been my highest month this month.
Congratulations, that is awesome.
Thank you.
So how about assets? Do you invest? What does that situation look like?
I started investing in January when I had my first like decent month. I was like, I feel good about investing now. I've watched a couple tutorials online. I'm gonna try to get my foot in the door. So that was the first month I was able to actually like put like 500 away into my Roth IRA. But obviously I'm not like traditionally employed, so I don't know anything about 401k or anything, and that doesn't apply to me. But I'm trying to invest. Like if I don't have a good income month, that's fine. I just try to put 200, 300 away into some stocks or VOO or whatever. But I just try to put away like 300 a month minimum into my Roth. And then I'm not really worrying about an individual brokerage account right now because I don't think I make enough. And I don't want to worry about it. If I retire at 67, that's fine too.
Yeah, that's great. You have a Roth IRA and there's about $500 in there, or what are you roughly at?
Now, I think I have like $200 in the individual account. Just I put money in there here and there. And in my Roth IRA, I think I have like 2,500.
Very nice. You definitely want to prioritize those tax advantage accounts first. Once you have them maxed out, if you still have money left over, you can go for that brokerage account, the non-taxable account. There are small business retirement accounts that you can open and fund in addition to a Roth IRA. And within the Roth IRA, do you know what you're investing in?
Yeah, I have some in VOO, Nvidia, Apple, Google. Like the last couple of weeks, I've just been pouring everything into VOO because that's the safest bet.
We love VOO. Can you explain to a lot of the viewers what VOO is?
You basically buy a small percentage or share of the top, I think 500 well-performing companies in America. So it's a combination of like Google, Apple, everything just smushed into one like profile, and you just buy a small percentage of that or a share in that.
Yep. So how much cash do you have on hand?
Just in the high yields, $19,480, and then in my checkings, I have another $5,000 right now.
Okay.
So that should be around $24,400.
Okay, cool. Do you have any debt?
Well, what would that be like?
Could be credit cards, loans, could be auto loans, student loans, anything.
No, FAFSA has paid for my entire college, or when like FAFSA didn't process through or like glitched out one year, I was able to pay that all out of pocket because it's community and because I made enough from content. And I didn't get a credit card until like last year because I was scared of them. And like, I don't know, my mom was also protective. My family always taught me a little bit about credit cards, predatory. And I saw a bunch of horror stories about people overspending online. And so by the time I was old enough to get a credit card, I just barely touched it. Now I just like use it for snacks and stuff, and I don't overspend on it. So I don't have any debt. My dad is a mechanic, so he knows how to find good deals on cars. So my whole life, like through the family, either cars will get passed down or he just bought me like an older car and he's fixed it up for me. So we've just always operated like that, so I don't have any debt. Do you usually talk to people and you help them manage like a debt plan, or like what do you usually do in that field?
Oh yeah. People will come to me and be like, hey, I have $5,000 in credit card debt. I have student loans. What do I do? And like you said, people they get a credit card, they just go crazy. They don't know how it works, or maybe they're misinformed. They think that, oh, my buddy told me that if I carry a balance, it's going to improve my credit score, and it doesn't work like that, right?
Right.
Because the main factors are you're making on-time payments, you're utilizing a small percentage of your overall credit, you have a variety of credit like credit cards, student loans, auto loans, mortgages, and then your length of credit. So those are the main factors. But having a balance doesn't improve your credit score. So people are paying interest, they're carrying a balance. So we get all sorts of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The car loans situation in the country is crazy.
Yeah, I've seen. From what I hear, you're not supposed to buy a car that exceeds like this amount of your income, but when most people, like 60% of America is struggling to even get by, like cars are 30K, but the average family is like 60K income. That's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, and you take on debt. Like we've sort of normalized car payments in this country when it's totally not normal at all. I mean, the average car payment in the US is like over $700 per month.
That is wild. Yeah.
But the average salary is around 60, median households is 70. It's nuts. Don't buy a new car, first off, right? Because they depreciate like crazy, even in the first year. And like you said, if you can't afford it, don't get it. If you have no debt, which is freaking awesome, that really makes a big difference. I mean, good for you. You're doing awesome. I like to give a money rank to people.
Oh, good.
In like a Valorant rank.
Okay.
I would say if you're not immortal, you're ascendant at the lowest.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I'd be confident saying you're immortal with your finances. Yeah, because you're young, you have no debt, you're starting to invest. If you just bump up those investments a little over time, your retirement's good. Like I don't really see a huge issue unless you have like 20 kids. then it'll be harder.
Not planning on having kids personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That makes it easier. Cool. Yeah. Great work. Keep it up. So I would say you're upper ascendant or immortal one. Taryn here in chat says, why isn't she radiant? And I said, A, there's always room for improvement, so no one's ever going to be radiant.
True. I was gonna ask too. Yeah.
And then 2, I would love to see a little more on the Roth contributions.
I was thinking that too. I was thinking like, even though I technically hit the 580 this month and I put that away to make up for past months, I think I'm gonna move a couple of my extra money this month into it. It would just be a smart thing to do, I think.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you need like a percentage, the rule of thumb is if you can save 20% of your income, especially as a 20-year-old, you're gonna do phenomenal. You can split that in half. You can allocate however you'd like. You can do 10% for retirement, 10% for your sinking funds, like your down payment for your house. It's really situational. So, if you want to prioritize the house, makes sense. But if you do prioritize the house, try and make sure you make up for it later. So once you do get that down payment, once you get the down payment solid, then your thought should be, all right, now let me try and make up for the Roth IRA or the retirement accounts, and you'll be golden.
For sure, yeah. One of my Twitch chatters, they had like this thing where they got a settlement on something because of a case because of the wrongdoing of the company. They just got their settlement of $140,000. Any tips on what to do next?
With a lump sum of $140,000, here is what I would consider. Do you have any debt? Any major credit card debt? That's the first thing you want to tackle because the interest rates are crazy high. So even if you have $139,000 worth of credit card debt, I want you to throw that lump sum at the credit card debt because it's going to be really difficult to build wealth with credit card debt. Number 2, if you don't have money in savings for emergencies, like Lonnie, you mentioned earlier, your emergency fund, it is critical. Someone in my community, Taryn, has an awesome quote. He says, not having an emergency fund is an emergency. Thought that was beautiful.
That is.
Yeah. You want at least 3 months worth of living expenses, ideally 6. If you're living at home, you don't have a whole lot of expenses, I still would do at least 3 just in case. But after that, it's time to take care of your retirement. So if you don't have a Roth IRA, now the thing about that settlement money, you may not be able to contribute that money to the Roth IRA. There are strict rules around the Roth IRA and its contributions. So for example, you can only contribute earned income. So money from a paycheck, small business. You can't contribute rental income from a property, interest, dividends. You can't contribute any of that. Yeah, it's only taxable or earned income.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so keep that in mind. It doesn't mean you shouldn't invest. So if you do have that lump sum, you can open up, like Lonnie, you have a regular brokerage account. Open one of those suckers up, put some money in there.
Could you like live off of the settlement for a little bit and you just put your earned income into the Roth? Is that what someone would do?
I wouldn't do that. It depends on the situation. It's purely situational. I mean, even if your expenses are super low, $140,000, I don't see that lasting you very long. If you're living off of even $40K a year, you're super frugal, you live like a homeless person. I mean, that's gonna last you what, a couple years? $40,000? Yeah, it's not gonna last. It's like what, 2 or maybe 6 years? That's not very long. I would rather put that money to work and let it grow even more.
Well, how do I stick to my budget as a college student?
I think budgeting is a waste of time. Here's what I mean by that. Traditional budgeting means you have all these different categories, right? You have maybe groceries, eating out, you get your nails done, you have video games, you have gym, you have all these different categories. And you're creating restrictions on all these categories. So a month goes by, 2 months go by, and you're like, shoot, I went over my video game budget. Shoot, I went under in this, over in this. It's like, oh, this is too hard. And then you give up. That's what most people experience. So what I would do, and this applies to college students, people who are self-employed, applies to pretty much everyone. Keep it super simple. If you can save 20%, the rest is fair game. You can spend it on your expenses, fun stuff. You can, allocate accordingly. Some people can't save 20% because most people are living paycheck to paycheck. You're a broke-ass college student, So adjust those numbers so they work for you. But keep it as simple as possible. And if you're having a hard time budgeting, it's probably because it's overcomplicated or you're not giving yourself enough money to spend. So again, it's a balancing act. But if you're going to save some money, spend some money, have some fun, enjoy yourself.
Right. No, I see that a lot online. People are like, instead of worrying about like penny pinching the occasional like bagel or coffee, like they just had to figure out how to do a side hustle or to earn more and to give themselves like freedom and enjoying life along the way. I was like, yeah, that's a very like kind and compassionate take to have for yourself too. What are financial mistakes a lot of young people fall into, and like how would you tell them or advise them to avoid them?
The number one thing, cars. Stop buying cars you can't afford. That's the biggest thing. I get people on my chat all the time. There's this one 16, 17-year-old. He was like working his ass off and he's like, hey, I have a bunch of money saved. I want to buy a BMW M3, M5, 580i Ti, 1080p, whatever it is, right? As a 17-year-old, that's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Because when you're young, the best thing you have working for you is time. So put that money to work instead. And once your income justifies that car, get whatever car you want as long as you can afford it. So don't fall for that trap. Get a used car, something that works, some Toyota, Honda, something that's just gonna run and get you from point A to point B, right? That's the most important thing. The next thing is credit cards. I love Dave Ramsey, Uncle Dave. I think he's great, but I don't fully agree with his take on credit cards because they're completely against credit, right?
I've seen that.
And it makes sense. The average person they just can't handle debt, man. But if you're not that person, if you're really diligent and you want to use a credit card, it's fine, but you have got to pay that sucker off every single month in full. If you don't have the cash, don't even swipe or tap, right? We tap these days, we don't swipe.
True.
Are you still down to play some Valorant?
Yeah, I'm down.
Cool.